Steve Jobs once observed that if you're not willing to cannibalize your own business, someone else will do it for you. I mean, how true is that, particularly in the real estate space, where of course this sector is so ultra competitive and where new technologies are changing the game every single day, every single week. Now, as the status quo continues to be disrupted in real estate, the message is this: simply relying on what has led to success in the past will likely come at the cost of not just your future success, but could well be your future survival. And I've spent the bulk of the last decade working with some of the world's biggest brands, both within the real estate space and outside of it, helping those brands and businesses navigate change and stay ahead of the curve. And personally, I've found it fascinating to look at brands and businesses that are going from strength to strength in the midst of all this change and upheaval. And yet I'm also intrigued to look at the businesses and brands that are having the very opposite experience. I mean, certainly you consider the demise of brands like BlackBerry or Blockbuster, certainly Kodak. And their example leaves us with no doubt at all. It is critical for any business or brand to be willing to reinvent themselves well before they are forced to do so by external pressures. And there are plenty of brands and businesses that have done just that. You know, a couple of examples. For instance, look at DuPont. Now, DuPont were willing a number of years ago to sell off some of their cash cow businesses like nylon and Teflon in order to reinvent themselves as leaders in the space of food and fuel security. They are more relevant today than they've ever been because of their willingness to do that. Or consider the 180-year-old glassware manufacturer Corning. I mean, far from the days where they were known for making glass bulbs or cookware, you know, the bulk of Corning's revenue today come from high-end medical devices that didn't even exist, hadn't even been invented 10 years ago. And one of my favorites would have to be Encyclopedia Britannica. You know, to their credit, way back in the mid-90s, Britannica realized that the writing was on the wall and that the printed word would be superseded by online forms of information. And they took steps to reinvent themselves to become the highly profitable and vibrant digital company they are today. You know, in the real estate space, what can we learn from brands and businesses like those three? And that's the focus of this session, the Reinvention Roadmap. My commitment is that audience members leave this session with a clear blueprint and action plan for reinventing themselves and their businesses in the coming few years. Whether this is by embracing new products and services, or perhaps by exploring new markets or new approaches, or even whether it's by re-engineering existing systems and processes. The simple message is this: the future will favor the adaptable, just as opportunity favors the prepared. And this presentation will show you how to be both of those things, adaptable and prepared for everything that the coming few years will hold.